Today I'm going to show you how you can do a kick up to a freestanding handstand and hold for time. Now obviously you can't start in the middle of the room, we first need to learn against the wall. So I'm going to take you through the correct setup for the kick up to handstand, and then I'm also going to take you through the principles of how to balance a handstand. We're going to learn ways to control the overbalance. So the overbalance is when I'm going this way and I feel like I'm going to fall onto my back. And then we're going to look at the other side of the handstand where I could fall back towards my feet, so the underbalance. And if we strengthen both of those things, it means we can kick up in the middle of the window and I can move around between the overbalance and the underbalance and I don't fall down, which means my kick up consistency and my catch rate is very, very high. So let's first look at the setup for the kick up. So most people are going to place their hands down, they're going to be slightly outside their shoulders. What we don't want to do is come into this position and our hands being too close together, and that's going to spill the elbows out. We want to feel like we can get into a straight arm position, and with most people's mobility it means they're going to have a position like this with their hands. And I'm also going to have my fingers either pointing forwards or slightly turned out. What we don't want is internal rotation, so it looks like this. If I do that with my feet and stand with my toes pointed in, you can see that doesn't look like a strong position. We want to feel like we've got a good strong base that we can kick up onto. And then I'm going to place my hands down 1 to 2 hand spaces away from the wall. So not too far away so I create a big void to fall into, and not too close so I'm going to smash my head against the wall. I'm going to have the shoulders directly on top of the hands. Now you want to find a comfortable distance away from the wall where you don't feel too bunched up, but you're also not too flat so it seems like such a long way to go to get to the wall. And then I'm just going to push down on the floor while looking straight down. My eyesight is somewhere between my index fingers and my thumbs, and I want to lock those things in place. Next I'm just going to see if I can go with my leading leg to touch the wall and come back down again. Again, maintaining that shoulder position, that focal point and that strong base. If that feels okay, I'm going to take this leg and I'm going to take it higher up the wall, and then just keep going higher, and what you'll notice is the second leg is being pulled up. Once I can get the second leg all the way up, I'm going to go 1, 2 against the wall, keep looking down towards the floor, and then step back down again. So ideally I want to be able to hit or touch the wall very softly up to that handstand position consistently, rep after rep. I want to be maintaining that strong base that I'm kicking up on top of. And once I have that, I'm ready to start thinking about the balance drills. Now when I kick up back to wall, I've actually gone over to my overbalance. So this is the one where we demonstrated it like this. So I'm starting to fall this way towards the wall. When I'm on my feet, I have my toes to control the movement, so I can push back and forth using the toes. When I'm on my hands, I can do exactly the same thing, but now I'm pushing with my fingers. Now I'd highly recommend that you turn your hat around, you place your head against the wall, either your head or your nose, and then you push through your toes and feel the energy go up from your feet all the way to your head. And you can control lightly pulling to a standing position and then slowly lower back till your head just kisses the wall, and then I come back again. Now that feeling, that technique is exactly the same as what we want to achieve, but using our fingers. Now there's a few things that naturally happen when we do that. We make a connection between the toes and our head by making the body one piece. So my abs and my glutes are just going on just enough to create that one segment feeling. If that doesn't happen, this happens. So you see now I'm moving my hips away by pushing through my toes, but the connection isn't getting to the head because I've lost the one piece feeling, and my body's changing into multiple segments because I'm hinging. So I want to stop hinging, I need to lock everything in and feel the connection from the toes all the way up to the head. So we want to get exactly the same feeling on our hands. So repeat the kick up, shoulders on top of the hands, focal point, kick up, heels lightly against the wall, push up nice and tall. We don't want to have a collapsed position, we want to have a strong line, and then as I push through my fingers, I'm also going to reach tall and see if my feet can come off, then I'm going to relax the fingers and go back again. So now I'm controlling the overbalance in the handstand. Now I need to be careful that we don't do this. We're not kicking off the wall, we're not pushing off the wall. If we do that, we're just creating energy to go in that direction, and we're just going to keep falling down. We want to take control of the handstand exactly the same as when I'm here. I'm just taking control with the base, with the feet. I'm pushing through the toes until I get to a standing position. I'm not going to continue on and fall onto my back. I'm doing just enough to pull from the wall, relax, and go back again. Now once we've started to understand that concept of how we pull off the wall using the overbalance control, we can start to think about holding the handstand for a little bit longer. Instead of just doing repetitions, we can pull to a slight hold or a short hold. So exactly the same, kick up, make the body one piece, push up through the fingers, see if you can pull away and hold. And notice I'm not coming all the way to handstand. I'm staying slightly overbalanced, so there's still weight in the fingers, and then I'm going to relax the fingers, go back to the wall. Pull off again, hold for 2 or 3 seconds, show control, come back again. And I can keep increasing that time, and that's just going to get more and more strength and control in that overbalance. Then we have a strong kick up that we can constantly keep working on. Remember, every time you go to the wall, that's a chance to do more repetitions and more practice of the kick up that just gets better and better and better. And then we have an understanding, we're starting to build some strength in the overbalance control of the handstand. So if you like, we have half of the handstand unlocked. And what you might find is that sometimes when you kick up, you might actually be able to catch before the wall, because now you've got the brakes to stop you hitting the wall. So when I kick up, if I'm nice and careful with the kick up, I might catch before the wall because I've got that push through the fingers and I can just control that overbalance. Now each of those steps are going to take time, and everyone learns at a different rate. Obviously the more you practice, the quicker you're personally going to get it. Now I'm not covering it in detail today, but we also need to make sure that we're doing enough conditioning work. So for most people, the conditioning is going to be a chest to wall handstand hold, or if you're totally new to it, it might be a floor line drill, something like a hollow body hold. But the chest to wall position is this and staying here for time, not this or this or this. We want to try and be as straight a line as we can so there's a good connection between the hands and the feet. Build up here so we can hold a conversation and hold here for 45, 60 seconds and then have enough energy to come back out. If you're very new to it, you might start more in this position that gives you a little bit more control in terms of the exit and entry, and you'll definitely feel much safer here. And then as you build strength, control and confidence, you can slowly move in closer to the wall. But having the kick up, having that understanding of pulling from the wall for the overbalance, and having a chest to wall handstand that is nice and strong are the prerequisites for the underbalance drill when we turn around compared to the overbalance drill and go chest to wall and pull from the wall. Now, if you've watched a few of my other videos, you probably know how important I think the underbalance control is. It means I can always catch a handstand in this position. I can come down with control. I can kick up very slowly, very controlled, and then I can go between the handstand and this position. This is where we layer upon things like press handstands. I can do that because my shoulders are forwards of my hands. I can do a handstand push up here. Not the best because I've got the cap on, but you get the idea. So having that control on this side of the handstand is so important. However, when you're first learning handstands, this is the scary one. Because we're going to be chest to wall, we're going to be pulling away from the wall. There is a potential that you're going to fall backwards. So having a spotter, having someone here is going to really help to start with. So the idea of this drill is to use the shoulders to control the underbalance. So I'm going to walk up to my chest to wall position. And now instead of using the fingers to pull from the wall, I'm going to use the shoulders to pull forwards, which makes the toes slide down the wall until I get to the point where there's enough weight in front of the fingers. So my toes are pulled from the wall into handstand. Then I'm going to push up and then through the fingers to come back to the wall again. So the equivalent when we're on our feet is to be like this against the wall, and I'm going to pull from the wall by bending the knees. I slide down and then I push up to standing, and then I push back to the wall again using the toes. So the knees are going this way to pull me back. So my underbalance is when I do this. So I can lean really far back and I can push up. To standing, I can lean back. It's exactly the same as taking the shoulders forwards in the handstand. Now to start with, you're probably going to have to build some confidence and understanding of the movement. Because a lot of people, when they do that, instead of doing this and coming off the wall in a positive position and being able to push up, they start to collapse into the wall because they're scared of going backwards. So then this doesn't help. It just gets us heavier against the wall. We want to make sure that the shoulders come forwards. They take the hips and the feet with it until the toes come off, and then I push up and back to the wall. But to start with, you might just have to work this, go back to the wall, and just get used to the feeling of the shoulders pulling you off. Be careful not to use the hips too much. But exactly the same thing, we want to start to work repetitions there, back to the wall. Once the reps start to feel easy, I can start to hold for a few seconds before going back to the wall. And then I can start to hold for longer time before going back. Now that one will probably take the longest to learn, but it will probably have the biggest impact on your catch, your rebalance, and your handstand hold time. And then you will be training the overbalance and the underbalance with the back to wall and the chest to wall drills. Combine that with the kick up practice, and then you'll soon be ready to try the freestanding handstand. Now one thing you can do is you can go back to wall and start to combine both those drills. So I'm going to kick up to the wall. Now I'm a little bit further away from the wall, which gives me a little more space to play with. So I'm going to push through the fingers. I'm going to go to handstand. Now if I go too far, I can now use the shoulders to stop me falling, and I can push up and back with the shoulders to get into my handstand. If I start to overbalance, I can use the fingers. If I start to underbalance, I can use the shoulders. And now look, I can move around in my handstand position. And I'm trying to hold somewhere in the middle, but as soon as I start to fall one way, I know what to do to bring it back again. Now it'll take a while to be able to control that in the moment. You'll probably fall down a lot on both sides. And in hindsight, you will think, oh, I should have pulled with my shoulders or I should have pushed with my fingers. But in time, it will become less conscious and more subconscious, and you'll just be able to start to balance the hold. Then as soon as you feel ready, you can start playing with that in the middle of the floor. Now it is good to have someone to spot you to start with. Just make sure they don't over spot you or under spot you, but use exactly the same principles. Think about percentages as a good way when you're freestanding. So the shoulders are on top of the hands. I'm going to have that strong base. My focal point is down on the floor. And then when I kick up, I'm just going to kick at 80% to start with. So 100% would be a straight handstand. I'm just going shy of that. Making sure my shoulders stay on top of my hands. Making sure the focal point stays locked in. And then what I might be able to do is catch slightly in that underbalance, but I'm going up to handstand. What we don't want to be doing is kicking up in that direction. So making sure you're kicking up to your window of balance, not over. If you're after more help with your training, check out my app or my website for online coaching. Let me know if you have any questions or requests down in the comments below, and I'll speak to you in the next one.